Once upon a time, St. Patrick and his friends were walking through a deep and dark wood, and they were very afraid. And so, to comfort themselves, they began to sing and to chant. And as they walked through the deep, dark wood, chanting, singing together, they felt better. Unbeknownst to them, there were a group of, I think, William, the term you use is hoodlums, waiting at the edge of the wood, intending to do them harm, waiting for them to emerge. And so, according to the story, a miracle was called for, and a miracle was given. But as they walked through the deep, dark wood, singing and chanting, they were transformed. Transformed into a lovely line of deer. So that as they emerged from the wood, these hoodlums saw them, but saw them as deer. And the conclusion of the story is this: they saw no reason to do harm that day. And isn't that the best conclusion to any story?
Even worse than hoodlums. You expect those crooks to be hunting deer.
Let it go. I arise, I arise, I arise today. I arise, I arise today. Oh, I arise, I arise, I arise today. In the silent dawn, the quiet morn, I arise today. In the early light, the wakening sky, I arise today. I arise, I arise, I arise today. William, you going to join us?
I don't know.
Okay, we hope you will. Kendra, you? Celtic spirituality is about what we sang. Oh, the buzz thing, you need to turn that off first. It's about eliminating the buzz. Buzz gone? Yes. That would be weird, wouldn't it? Turn it off and the buzz is still there. That would be scary Halloween stuff. So Celtic spirituality is what we sang. I rise, I arise, I rise today. But it's not in terms of the modern way of thinking. Like so many times I hear people say, I want to rise to higher levels of consciousness. I honestly don't have any time for that. And some of you know that. I have no interest in higher levels of consciousness. What I'm interested in is arising into the depths, which is a very different approach. Okay? Because when you're down in the depths, there's no room for arrogance or pride. You're just there. And it's like being down and dirty on the ground. You know? There's no room. The only thing you can allow for there is humility and humus. Right? Okay? It's like Jesus washing feet. You know? Get down there. Just go there and see what happens. So, into the depths, or as John O'Donoghue said, into the out-of-the-way places of the heart. Yeah? That's a good way to say it. Yeah. That leaves very little room for arrogance and pride. I'm better than you are because I'm at a higher level of consciousness. Rubbish. All right, I did my venting, now I can talk. Sorry. Question, and I'll pass the egg on to first you, Denzel. When we go into the depths, or the out-of-the-way places of the heart, one of the places we enter is the place of sadness and anger. And it's not often discussed, especially in public places and churches. What do you do with it? Right? How do you encounter it? How do you cope? How do you navigate those waters, those depths? Yeah? So, question is, what makes you sad or angry? That's the question. What makes you sad or angry?
I don't like the smell.
You don't like the smell? Oh, so you don't want to touch it? No? Does it smell? It does have a little smell. That's the question. What makes you sad or angry?
When people repeat themselves.
People repeat themselves. Thank you.
My own expectations of the outside world. It's basically with myself. Sometimes it's, how dare I be so gullible or naive, or, oh, I judged this person too quickly. There's layers to it, of course, but it always comes back to me, and it's the expectations that I set up for myself. Yeah.
I think the most consistent thing that makes me sad or angry is just when you considered the world and all the stuff that goes on, and it's not hard to kind of empathize with just all the pain and suffering, and consider maybe unjust pain and suffering, or pain and suffering that doesn't need to exist
Mm.
to make you angry. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot along those lines, especially when I see people causing suffering for other people, I get very sad and angry.
Mm.
Wake me up. I can't breathe. Oh, sorry, I think it's on my back. I would say, this experiences of loved ones passing away has been making me sad this year.
Well, I mean, the main ones usually boil down to a lack of self-control for my own situations, and maybe when other people are self-entitled, I guess.
Other people are what?
When people are self-entitled and like they try to take advantage of me or something like that, unreasonably so, or people lying too much, that's really irritating.
What's been obvious for me is whenever I hear about or think about situations like in Gaza, and before that, the bombings in Ukraine, and locally, I mean, these are the ones that are obvious because I can feel it coming up. It's not subtle at all. It's like, how can this be happening? And I feel like when I feel that, I feel like I'm a part of it, and that in some weird way, it's also happening to me, or I'm sharing. The other thing that's been a long-term thing for me is seeing people taking advantage of other people. And right now with it being enrollment time, open enrollment time for Medicare and Medicaid and these insurance plans, I know because it was done to my mother, and previously something similar to my kids, that people are taking advantage, and they get these people to sign on the dotted line and without being aware of what's going on. And that makes me angry, really angry. Okay.
Pretty much,
What makes you sad or angry is the question.
pretty much everything. Here.
What do we do with sadness? What do we do with anger? Celtic spirituality has some things to say about it, and we're going to go there a little bit tonight, just a little bit, because you can only go so far in like 30 minutes. But it's good to look at this as an aspect of healthy spirituality. When I I was in France with Thich Nhat Hanh and the monks and nuns there, I was amazed at the number of Westerners that came there, flocked there, especially men who were working with their anger issues. Right? And these men, most of them Christian churches, went there to learn how to navigate anger, especially anger. And Thich Nhat Hanh was so beautiful in helping them, so gentle and so clear, and almost childlike. It was beautiful to see. So it's something for any person, any spirituality to really consider. For myself, for many years I had an unrecognized sadness, and I didn't know what it was. What it was that my father had died when I was 13 years of age, and I never cried. I never felt it. I never allowed myself to feel it, until I was like 42. It's a long time not to feel something that you actually feel in the depths. But, and this is one reason why I love Taizé so much, is that I was sitting in the midst of 3,000 young people in the singing, in the beautiful singing of the Taizé community, 4-part harmony, and 3,000 young people, and all the monks. And my father, in some real way, spoke to me. And he died when I was 13. And he asked me to forgive him for not being a good dad, basically. And it took me a while as I was sitting there, but the emotions began to rise up and pour out my eyes. And eventually I said, yes, I forgive you and I love you. And that was the first time I ever said that to my father. And there was a healing that was found in the midst of that. And the sadness, it didn't go away completely, but it was significantly consoled. And the relationship was to some degree restored. It's an amazing thing, but sadness is yeah, it was a moment, as they say. So I just wanted to raise that with you tonight, because we're about to sing a lament. But before we do, I wanted to share with you something else, a little story. Before we do that, though, I wanted to remember the story that we heard today. To remember the story. What was it about, this afternoon's story?
The Sleeping King.
The Sleeping King, or the Shepherd, right? How does it begin?
Knitting.
Pardon?
Yarn.
Right, there's definitely yarn in there, yes. So once upon a time there was a shepherd who was knitting with his ball of yarn a scarf for himself for the winter. And then what happened?
Hair.
Yes, yes. A hair popped up, and then another hair. And the shepherd responded. Well, how did the shepherd respond, by the way?
Awooga.
Pardon?
Awooga.
Awooga? I'm lost. What does that mean?
Noise.
Pardon?
Noise.
It's a noise that the shepherd made? Okay. I like that, yeah. What did the shepherd do?
I think he jumped up
You think he jumped up? Okay.
out of the ball of yarn.
He was
fell
surprised.
to his lap.
Yeah, he was surprised. And his practical concerns went rolling off his lap. He was caught by something unexpected, wasn't he? There's the key. So he wasn't in control at that point, was he? He had to give up control. Not an easy thing to do. I mean, he could have just, ignored the hair and the big bunny rabbits, whatever they are, and he could have just focused, no, I gotta do this scarf, I gotta get this done, bang, 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 and you would have missed out on all the adventure, right? But he didn't. He allowed himself to be distracted and let go of control. And then what happened? What happened to the ball of thread?
It went down the hill.
It went down the hill and disappeared into,
The wall.
yes, into an opening in the rock wall. And so the shepherd said, I can't bother with it. I'm going to just ignore that. Is that what he did?
No.
No. What did he do?
He went inside the wall.
He went inside the wall. He went through a stone wall, through the opening that he saw. Yeah. So once inside that rock wall, there was this beautiful like grotto thing, hollowed out, huge cave. And what did he see? What he never saw before.
Table.
Yeah. What was on the table?
Sword.
Yes. What else?
King.
The king was in the bed. Right.
Bed.
Right. So there was a bed and there was a table. And on the table there was a sword. What else was on the table?
Horn.
Right. Boy, you have a good memory. And so he picked up the horn and played St. Louis Blues, right? No,
He took the sword.
he did. And what did he do with the sword?
Kapow.
Kapow, right? He definitely kapowed the sword down on the table. Smash, bang. Why did he do that? Any thoughts on that? Why? Charlie, you got any response?
To assert himself, maybe?
To assert himself? Yeah.
Display power.
Yeah?
Feeling the power.
Feeling the power?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe he was ticked off that his ball of thread went down, disappeared, and, yeah, who knows?
He might have thought the sword was Excalibur,
There you go.
which would have made it very, very special, and he would have wanted to handle it and see how it performed.
Right, so he smashed it down on the table. Another possibility could be simply because he could.
Mm.
In other words, that's the thing with technology. We do it because we can. Yeah. Without thinking too much about the consequences. Well, the consequence in this case was what? What happened? When he smashed the sword, kapow, on the table. What happened?
King wakes up.
King wakes up. You're going to tell this story yourself someday. King wakes up. And he looks up at the shepherd and he says, what?
Something to do with the people.
It has definitely something to do with the people, because it's all about the people. You remember the best parts. He said, anybody remember exactly?
Yeah, sorta. He said, if you had picked the horn, it would have come back and restored the nobility of my people.
Ah, there it is. Hang on, Barb. So the nobility of my people. That's a word we don't use very much today, do we? Nobility. I mean, when you think of people,
Mm.
you know, in Louisa, do you think of nobility? Do you think
I don't think of it,
nobility?
no.
Any people come to mind? You could say that's a noble people. Hmm? Something to think about. Nobility. So the king says, I would have come back had you chosen that horn and restored the nobility of my people, but you did not choose the horn, doofus. That's added. You chose the sword. So it's about choice, isn't it? He had choice, he chose. And then what did the king do, Denzel? Right? He did indeed. He went right back, put his old head back on the pillow, and before he did, he said, I will go back to sleep now. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's a long time. And boop, he went back down, and the sound was That's it. It was a big one because he's an old king. And then the shepherd responded. How did the shepherd respond to the reality before him? Okay. What did he do when he said,
He ran away.
He ran away. He ran away from the reality that he brought into being. Right? Yeah. Out of the cave he went, out of the hollowed out mountain, crawled through the opening in the rock wall, scampered up the side of the hill, and then what happened?
He looked back.
He looked back. Right. Why did he look back?
Because he wanted to make a better choice than he wanted.
You think maybe he wanted to second chance kind of a thing? Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So he gets up the side of the grassy slope, stops, looks back, and what does he not see?
The opening.
Right. Never again could he find that opening in that rock wall. Never again. Sounds like Edgar Allan Poe. But, as we talked about earlier today, there's always other rock walls to find openings in. So it's not totally hopeless. There's hope there. Okay? So that's the story. Any other thoughts on that story before we move on to our final story tonight?
There could be another person who could be crocheting with some wool, and then he drops the wool because he sees 4 white rabbits,
Okay.
and it's summer. And then it goes down the hill into a mountain, and then there's a huge door,
Mm,
and then he goes inside and does the rest of the stuff.
I like it. Yeah. And that's what you can do with these stories. You can add on to them. Because that's what tradition does. Good oral tradition says, make stuff up, add on to it. Yeah. Or maybe, like Charlie, he could find 2 kittens and follow them into the forest and begin an adventure that way. Who knows? At any rate, that's that story.
Well, one thing I was wondering about that story is I was thinking about what the horn symbolizes.
Right.
I don't know if there's any consensus on what a horn symbolized back then. All I could think was that maybe if you show up outside a city or something and you blow a horn, that's peaceful. And if you just to communicate versus a sword to destroy the city. But that's
I think that's a good guess. There's no one answer to these things, you know. But the horn is clearly a musical instrument, isn't it? And the resonance of the beautiful sound of the horn in this story is to be preferred to the sharp, clashing sound effect of the sword. The horn is also an instrument throughout lore to gather people together or to warn them of trouble, right? Right? Like, again, Lord of the Rings, the horn is blown. What's the character's name who gets killed in the end? He has trouble. He tries to get the ring.
Gollum?
No, not Gollum. He's one of the pilgrimage group. I can see his face.
Boromir?
Boromir, that's it. And, you know, when the orcs come at the end, the orcs and the other creatures, he blows his own horn, right? A warning, you know, gather the troops kind of a thing. So in many ways, it's seen as a positive sound. You know, the sword, it's a whole other thing. Yeah. So, any other thoughts? So when we hear these stories, I would just encourage you to ask yourself a simple question. Where am I in this story? That's what the story is asking. Where are you in my story? Okay. That's a dangerous question to ask. Dangerous meaning that, you know, because transformation is waiting as you respond. That's the danger. So do with the stories what you will. The last story I wanted to share with you is called the story of the Selkie. And the Selkie is the seal woman who becomes a human being. The seal who becomes a human, who becomes a seal again, who becomes a woman, who becomes a seal, and so on and so forth. It's an ancient story. It speaks on many levels. But again, it's our story. It knows things, and it wants to communicate some of these things to us. It's like the story has a life of its own. And this is an important part of Celtic spirituality. Because for centuries and centuries, even millennia, people would gather around the fire at night, and what did they do? They told stories. They recited reams of poetry. Sometimes the stories lasted the whole night long. Sometimes one story could last more than a night. You had to pick it up the next night, and the next night. There's one story in this little book here, if ever you're interested, Carmina Cadelica. It's a collection of stories collected in the late 19th century from Scotland and the Isles. One story in particular went on for 24 nights. Same story. Same story. Can you imagine that? So, the story wants to be an important part of your life because it already is. You just don't know it. So tonight we're going to close with a story that I think is a beautiful story and a poignant story. The story of the Selkie. Are you ready? Here comes. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman who got up one morning really early and surprised to see that the tide had gone way, way out. So far out that he could see a little island he had never seen before. There it is again. He had never seen this before. And so he went into the forest following the kittens. No. He walked on the sand toward the island because the tide was way out, you see. And he brought his nets with him. And when he arrived near the island, he saw all these lovely things in the sand, shellfish and razorfish and all kinds of edibles. And he began to fill his nets with them. And arrived on the island and was still filling his nets to overflowing. And he worked for hours and got tired. And he took a nap. Big mistake. When he woke up, the tide had come back. And now he was trapped on the island. Could not get off. And that's what happens, isn't it? When we go after what we want in such a way, we got it, and then we're trapped. Whatever it is, it traps us very often. So there he is, trapped on the island with all his yummy edibles in his nets. You can't get off. It's starting to get dark. And the moon is coming out. Now the moon is very important to these stories. The moon was bright, the moon was full. It was a full, bright moon. And under that full, bright moon, it happened. A thunderous sound from the sea emerged onto the land, and hundreds of seals under the full, bright moon. Can you see them? They're just, the sleek black skin is glowing. They're emerging onto the sand. They're barking as seals bark. They're flipping and flopping onto the sand. You can smell them if you try hard enough. There they are, worse than the egg I handed you. And the seals are on the land now. And the fisherman is delighted. But now the story takes a turn. It becomes very Irish, kind of magical. As the seals emerge onto the land, each one drops their seal coat and becomes a human being. The fisherman is now more than delighted. He is enchanted. And that's a good thing, because we live in an age of disenchantment. Enchantment means we are swept away by something beautiful, something unexpected, something wondrous. And we need that. So there he is now, enchanted. And all these now human beings are on the island. And all throughout the night, these human beings are together. They're together in three ways. There's your three again, Shirley. They're together in three ways. In the wonder and the splendor and the joy of each other's company. In the wonder, the splendor, and the joy of each other. We've all experienced that. It's called the best of community. So all throughout the night, they're together in these three ways. In the morning, one by one, lights dawning, go back to the sea, each one, seal coat over their shoulders, into the water they dive, all except for one. She lay on the sand, asleep, she with the long black hair. And the fisherman, without thinking, runs over to where she is and snatches her seal coat, ouch, and begins to walk away. She wakes up. She sees him walking away, and instinctively she follows. She goes, follows him back to his house. She becomes the woman in his life. Years pass. They have children. And every night, she would tuck her kids in bed just so. And every night, she would comb their hair just so. But on the nights when the moon was full and bright, she would walk down to the sea, and she would sing a song of lament, a song of longing, of yearning for a life that was truly hers. She had no memory, no conscious memory of her former life in the sea. So there was this sense of something missing. And then after she sang her song, her wordless song, her yearning song, she would go back in the house and do what needs to be done. One day, she was at the tabletop in the house, and she was making bread. And she had the dough up there, and she was going away at it, when suddenly something happened. Why? Because something always happens. And it was a single drop of oil that fell from the thatched roof upon the tabletop. She saw it. She didn't ignore it. She reached out. She touched it with her finger. A single drop of seal oil, because that's where her husband hid her coat years earlier. Hid it in the thatched roof. She touched that drop of oil. She brought it to her nose. Smelled good. She brought it to her tongue. Tasted it. Smelled very good. And in that moment, she was transformed. She was flooded with memory of a life that was hers. Her life in the sea. Her life free. And she knew who she was. And she knew what she must do in that moment. So she went up into the roof, retrieved her seal coat. She held it like a child. She walked outside. Her husband and kids were away that day. And she walked down to the sea. Over her shoulders, the seal coat went. She became seal again. She dove into the waters to find her seal family. Now the story doesn't quite end yet. When her husband and kids came home that night, they realized she was gone, truly gone. And so they were heartbroken. But the story ends this way. On the nights when the moon is full and the moon is bright, on those nights, the husband would come home and find the children tucked in bed, just the way she would tuck them in bed. And their hair would be combed just the way she would comb their hair. And on those nights, now the fisherman, the husband, would walk down to the sea and sing his song of lament, a wordless song of longing. And that's how the story ends. Have you heard that story before?
Similar.
Pardon?
Similar.
Similar, yeah. So we'll end tonight with that story, and I would just again ask you to consider, where are you in the story? And when you hear the story, what is the life that longs to live in you, is the question. What is the life that longs to live in you? That's the question. We'll close tonight with a song. Any thoughts before we do that? So tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock breakfast, right? And 9 o'clock our last gathering. There's a little song in the Hebrew Bible that's called the Song of Songs. Before we sing that though, let's do something right out of the story. In the Irish tradition, the sound Ochone, Ochone, would you say that with me? Ochone. You can see it O-C-H-O-N-E, Ochone. Sometimes Ochono, Ochono. And it's a sound that's used to express longing, lament, grief, and so on, and hope. But it's a deep, 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 deep song, deep sound. So we'll sing a little bit of this, and then we'll close with a final song. We'll sing a little bit and sing it right back. Your turn. the other for the morning. Little Irish lullaby. There are three things in Irish tradition when it comes to song. There's love, great love songs. There's lament, and then there's lullaby. Three, once again. Lament is a song of grief, anger, saying no to what you see before you. The lullaby is a soothing sound. It's also protection for the most vulnerable, children. I'll sing it to you and sing it with me then. Ooh la loo la la. Ooh la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Together. Ooh la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. And again. Ooh la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. One more time. Ooh la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. Ooh la loo la loo la la. At the close of this day, a little lullaby in the face of the realities of this world. May we enter those places, those out-of-the-way places of the heart, of deeper love, of lament, and of soothing lullaby. May it be so.